desierto. Llego a tu país, el corazón despierto. Ella es latina con sabor intenso. Baila reggaetón, me deja sin aliento. Aunque no sepas, en el club la vi con ese flow divino. Qué rico, su cuerpo es arte como un destino.
Just a disclaimer, it would be absolutely impossible for me to fit all of this information in one video. Therefore, I will probably be doing a multi-part series. If you would like any private consultations or would like to see any behind the scenes videos that are not safe for YouTube, please feel free to subscribe to the Patreon. It would really help. Thank you very much and enjoy the video. Gone to Colombia has been on your mind, huh? Or maybe you're just a little bit frustrated with how dating is where you currently are. Perhaps it's a mixture of both. Maybe you've seen all these videos, but you're still questioning it. If going to Colombia is something that you should give a try, don't worry. I'm here to help you navigate. So first things first, I just want to jump into it straight up. If you're coming from the West, more than likely you're coming from the West. That's why you came to Colombia. Something that you need to know off the rip is that you are in a third world country. It doesn't look like a third world country, but financially, compared to the GDPs to other countries, you are in a third world country. So keep this in mind as you're going around and navigating. Here's where a lot of dudes get messed up when they come to Colombia. When they come to Colombia and they meet a really nice girl, whether they met her off of Bumble, Tinder, or met her outside, they immediately are pursuing love. But what you don't really seem to realize about love is that love is a luxury in a country where people are not needy. Love or loving somebody simply because the connection was there is a first world asset. It's a first world trait. In a third world country where you're coming from somewhere that is well better off, most of the women that you're interacting with are looking to gain some kind of resource from you. And a lot of men are in denial about this as they're on their conquest for love. But as somebody who has been to Colombia a few times, I'm here to walk you through what it's like dating, and specifically what it is like dating like a black man or as a black man in Colombia. There's a seductive and sweet, wonderful smell that's on these Colombian women. And as you start navigating, you'll probably realize that these women smell amazing. There's almost zero stench coming from most of these women as they're in a hotter climate. Their hair is longer, they're dressed nice, they're dressed to be exposed. And if you're noticing all of these things, you'll probably have also noticed that you're probably not around regular locals, but you're around working women. And this is the one of the top professions in Colombia is being a working freelancing woman. And for YouTube's sake, I have to break this down as if this is a documentary and use proper words and terminology so that we don't get demonetized or deplatformed. But yes, you are around working woman. Working woman and the culture of Colombia is for them to uphold beauty. And in exchange for beauty is how they're able to finance themselves and keep themselves afloat, is by being as seductive and as beautiful as they possibly can. Remember this as you're navigating this dating atmosphere that is new for you, where the women are way more feminine, friendly, nice, and attracted and into you because resources rules all in the dating world, but it especially rules all in the dating world when you're in Colombia. In Colombia, you don't want to fight against the grain because you'll be doing yourself a disservice. You are a foreigner, you have resources compared to most of the women that you're going to run into. They're after your resources, especially if you are a black man. You are very different from what she's grown up with and what she is accustomed to. She's looking at you the way black men are being presented on YouTube and on the internet as being flashy and having money. Even if you don't come across that way, it's going to be her immediate thought, especially if you are from America. And if you're in Colombia and in conversation with a Colombian, she'll ask you, "Where are you from? De donde eres?" Right? But is she asking you this because she's genuinely curious about where you're from? No. She wants to know what country you come from so that she can estimate how cheap or non cheap that you're going to be with her. Right? And now you're going to say, well, that's probably just because she's a working woman. No, 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 my friend. It's not only because she is a working woman, because even if it's pay for play up front or it's pay for play on the back end, it's going to be pay for play no matter what. And what I see a lot of men run into is when they meet a beautiful Latina that's feminine, submissive, and all about him, and she doesn't ask for money up front, you think you found yourself a girlfriend. But truth be told, is that she's going to work you and work you and work you because she's going to play the game. And then suddenly, boom, a situation comes up where she's in dire need of your help. She's been giving you her body, being submissive to you, doing all these things for you. But now there's a grandma that's sick. There's a child that needs to get rushed to the hospital. And she just does not have the money to take care of this. So who does she turn to as her light and savior? To reach that deep savior complex that all of us have. You. You're going to foot that bill. You're not going to think much of it, or maybe you do think much of it. Maybe you're fighting against your consciousness. Oh, she's poor. She doesn't have a lot. You know, I can help her. She really needs my help. I want to support her. Yes, my friend. She's asking for help from you, for help that she probably is not going to ask for the local Colombian or Venezuelan man that's living in Colombia. And this is called playing the long game. The game, though they don't play too long. The game is never going to last more than 30 days if she's not getting what it is that she wants from you. Because you need to understand something, like I have said before. You're a man who is an outsider and you have resources, at least more resources than what she has and the other people that are around her. It would be foolish of her to not try to extract resources from you while you are getting to enjoy her love, her company, and her beautiful body, right? And this is what dating is when you're in Colombia. Truth be told, it is pay for play whether you're paying up front or you're paying on the back end. And there's a lot of nuances into this because what people don't seem to realize about Colombia is Colombia does not practice hookup culture. That is something that is a completely Western thing where you're completely into a girl, she's into you, you guys hook up, with very little kind of attachment. Because truth be told, she doesn't need you. But the situation changes when you go to a third world country. And in general, when you have the resources, even in a first world country, the situation is never going to just be love, but it's going to be out of, trying to extract resources. And I think men need to understand more of how this game works as they climb up the financial ladder. When you go to Colombia, you are experiencing life as a rich man because you really are a rich man inside of a third world country. And you can get all these beautiful women and source from all these beautiful women, but they always want something from you. Even the ones that act like they don't want anything from you, they want something from you because they know how to play the game. They run into way more foreigners than you run into Colombian women. Now, something to also keep in mind that you know, real strong racism first got introduced into these parts. Colombia, you know what I mean? It's named after Columbus. So they're still in a prehistoric mindset of how they view black people, right? And maybe, you know, racism isn't really an internal thing of thinking you are better than somebody, but economically, the people of color are way poorer than the people that are of lighter skin in Colombia. So keep that in mind. And even if you're a foreigner and you're a foreign black man or a foreign person of color, in comparison to a foreign person of a lighter complexion, you may start to notice preferences. Now, the preferences are very subtle because a lot of those women do love black men. A lot of those women are black. And I will say, there's an influx of Venezuelan women now that are living in Colombia, and I believe that they have a preference for black men, and it really depends on where you date. If you're in Cartagena, you're going to run into more people that are of African descent, and you can immediately see it. But when you go to Medellin, you will start seeing that more of the women are more lighter complected and do have a preference for lighter skinned individuals, right? But with that being said, um, it's also something to keep in mind, and a hint that I give people is if you're dealing with a woman that has a child, look to see what the complexion of that child is, and that will immediately let you know their preference. It's not the most reliable way to look at things, but I guarantee you that 9 times out of 10, if you're out there looking for love and not just looking to have fun, you might want to take a look at what their children look like just to save yourself any headaches for the future. 9 times out of 10, when you meet a woman, she has a local man that she is dating. And these women will navigate the street openly and honestly as workers, and some of them will pretend like they are not workers. But most of the time, they have boyfriends. And these boyfriends, in my personal opinion, and you might even see them floating around these comments on some of the videos on my channel, they hate foreigners. They absolutely hate foreign men because they say we only come to these countries to smash their women, and we think we can do what it is that we want. And I've gotten all types of racist comments and things like that made to me towards these men. They're the ones that's going to get on you about recording. Of course, the women do it too, but ultimately, you need to see it like this, right? If Chris Brown came around your girl, immediately started spending money on her, and you had nothing and you had no power to stop this because this was how the rent was going to get paid, this is how you were going to get your PlayStation bought. In some instances, where you really don't have any ability to make for yourself, you might allow your girl to do what it is that she has to do, right? But you're powerless in the situation. And these men, that is a daily reality for these men. That's not a reality if you're living in a first world country for us. So I believe, and I could be wrong, but I strongly believe that they have an internal and deep hatred for foreigners, especially foreign men. And my biggest suggestion is just to be very, very careful. You can screen a girl as much as you can and as much as you want, but you'll ultimately never really know whether she has a boyfriend or not. And nine times out of 10, he knows about you or knows about you as one of her clients. But ultimately he feels powerless within the situation. So just keep that in mind that when you are dating these women, there is a very strong likeliness that she does have one of these men in her life that she's financing with whatever money that you may be providing her. So, my overall recommendation for men that are going to Colombia is go there to have fun, man. Go there to have fun. Go there to, get some women or be around women that you normally couldn't be around in the States. Don't be afraid to spend some money. I think a lot of people make this big deal about simping, or when you go to Colombia, you're going to trick land, okay? You're going there to trick. That's how you're going to have fun. That's how you're going to have these kinds of experiences that you want to have. You're going there to trick. If you have no resources, there's no point in going to Colombia because they're going to find a way to extract resources from you, and secondly, it's not going to be easy for you to just live there full time and then make money unless you're working as a digital nomad. Can you meet a woman that you don't have to pay for play? And yes, there's ways that you can do that, but understand that when you go into that realm, you're not going to just go as you are. You're going to have to immerse yourself in their culture, immerse yourself in the language. Know that they're still 20, 30 years behind. So lots of them still hold very Catholic and Christian values, mainly Catholic values. And you're not going to go there without basically having to embrace their culture, embrace the family. And even then, it's going to be something where they know that you have the resources to be in a foreign land, and that's something that you're just going to be dealing with. It's going to be like being a rich man in the US. You know what I mean? At some point, as you've been living freely, someone's going to have a need and they're going to know that you have the resources to take care of them. So they're going to ask you and they're going to want it. And you might even feel obligated to help. And if, this is for my people that's looking for longer term relationships, that cultural mesh is going to start being more and more felt the more serious you start trying to take some of these women. But if you're just going there to know what it is to date short term, have your fun, and really get to enjoy yourself, I say go there with money. Don't easily just spend your money on, you know, whoever, make them earn it. But do nice things for these women. Buy little cheap gifts for them, take them on cheap dinner dates. The dinner dates are very cheap. Have fun and explore and navigate, because this will build up your dating repertoire and your understanding of women when you get to experience it on what's basically steroids in Colombia. When you come back to the US, which the US is slowly turning into the very same thing, where a lot of these women want you to pay for play, especially if you are a black man, you're going to have a much better time when you go to Colombia. You know what I mean? I just think that it's more of an honest transaction, as to, women in the West tend to try to make it seem like, you know, they're really only looking for love. Women are only looking for love when their basic needs are met. When their basic needs are not fully met and they're comfortable in that, they're looking for a financial suitor. And this goes across the board because this is just woman nature.
Estoy en entera hasta la tumba cierto. Llego a otro país, el corazón despierto. Ella es latina con sabor.